Hi, Miss Stuckey here, and today we want to look at calculating surface area. So make sure that you have your worksheet, you've got something to write with, and a calculator. So let's go ahead and get to work. Looking at the first part here, we're going to focus in on just finding the surface area of a cylinder. So I have a picture of a cylinder. Kind of looks like you could think of a Coke can. And in a cylinder, we have two important pieces of information that we know. We know the radius and we know the height. The height connects the two circular bases. It goes from top to bottom. You could lay that cylinder on its side and it would still connect the two bases. So if we want to calculate the surface area, we want to know what is the total sum of the areas of the surfaces. So if I can find the area of each surface and add them together, that will give me the surface area. So I think it's really helpful to go about actually taking a cylinder and unfolding it. If I were to lift the top and the bottom and stretch out the sides, what ends up happening is I have a circle on top, a circle on bottom, and the middle section here, that's actually a rectangle. Okay, there's a little piece of information here that's extra that we didn't have in either of the two pictures. And it's just giving us some information so that we can calculate the area of this rectangle. Okay, hopefully this 2 pi r looks a little bit familiar to you. We've talked about that recently. Okay, the picture says that it's this length here of the rectangle. So where does that come from? Where it actually comes from is it's the distance around one of the circular bases. When I take and fold that rectangle, it goes exactly once around the circle base. Well, what does 2 pi r represent? It represents the circumference of the base, 2 pi r. So since I know what the radius is, I can plug it in, I can calculate the circumference, and it will tell me the length of the rectangle so that I can find the area of the rectangle. Again, to find surface area, I'm just going to add up the sum of each of the surfaces. The top circle, the bottom circle, and the rectangle. If I find each of those areas, it will give me the total surface area. So let's try an example together. Looking at this example, what they've told us is that we know that the height of the cylinder is 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take and label that on my cylinder. Also, I know that the radius is 9 inches, so I'm going to label that as well. Make sure that you're taking good notes. If you need to even pause the video right now, you can, to make sure you're caught up with me. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to start doing some calculations. So the first thing that I can calculate is the area of the circle. That's going to be the top and the bottom. So a circle, to find its area, is going to be pi times the radius squared. It's 3.14 times my radius 9 squared. And when I go ahead and type that in my calculator, I'll get 254.34. That is the area of the top and the bottom rectangle, each separately. So when I calculate my total surface area, I'll actually have to include that 254 two different times. Okay, next the rectangle. This one's a little bit more challenging, but we can do it. So if you'll notice, to find the area of the rectangle, we need to know the two dimensions. I need to know not only the height of that rectangle, but also the base or the length of the rectangle. So to find that measurement, again, that is the circumference of the base, the circle. So I can calculate circumference, 2 pi r, or 2 times 3.14 times the radius 9. And that gives me the circumference is 56.52. So what that tells me is the length of this rectangle is 56.52. I apologize, my handwriting's a little messy there. Okay, so final step here in calculating the area of the rectangle. We're going to multiply the length times the width, which is 11 times 56.52, and that gives me the area of the rectangle to be 621.72. Okay, I'm not quite done. I've done a lot of work already. I found the area of the circle bases. Each of them is 254.32. I found the area of the rectangle here, and that was 621.72. So remember, to find the surface area, I need to add up the area of each of the surfaces. So let's go ahead and work through that. The surface area will be the top circle, which is 254.32, plus the bottom circle, which is also 254.32, plus the middle section there, that rectangle, which we found out was 621.72. Add those up, and you'll get the surface area is 1,130.4. I don't want to forget to include units here. Remember that area is always going to be units squared. And here, since all I'm doing is adding up all of the areas, my units will be inches squared. So again, my final answer here is 1,130.4 inches squared. Whew! Good stuff. Make sure you've gotten that written down on your page. If you have any questions, you can ask me in class. And now it's your turn to give it a try. So see if you can find out the surface area of the cylinder in problem number 1. Good luck.